Did you know that we're all stars? Yeah. And we're just being asked to manifest our potential and shine. Doesn't serve anyone to hold back. It's not a humble thing or a nice spiritual person. I'm not rocking the boat or making waves. I'm just holding back. What's the big deal? Well, what's the big deal is that you're not living your birthright. You're not being a star. You're subduing your shine. And then we go into these co-agreements that that's okay. And I'll subdue mine, you subdue yours. I did that for a while. I know what it's like. Don't we all do that? Hold back our radiance. And then this kind of spiritual false humbleness comes in, that I'm not going to shine because I don't want to make it seem like I'm better than others or whatever. These are all stories. That's not the way it works. Really isn't. That's just false humbleness. The world needs you to shine, to be yourself, and to just remove yourself from situations where you feel unsafe to be yourself. Why would you do that to yourself? Ask yourself, if you're doing that, why? Why are you doing that? In any way. We don't evolve in that environment. I'll just tell you that. We don't. We might evolve sideways, like a little bit here and there, because growth wants to continue. But it's just kind of like one is in a holding pattern. And it might not be that way in your life, but it might be that way in certain situations with certain people. If this doesn't speak to you, it doesn't speak to you. Maybe it speaks to you about something that was in the past, the way you were. So you can relate, you know. Your inner autonomy and sovereignty is super important, okay? And don't compromise your sovereignty and your alignment with truth. Don't compromise it. Don't sell it out. You know, when Jesus was throwing over the money tables, it was not just on the outside, it's a metaphor for the way we sell ourselves out, where we compromise what we know to be true. And doesn't the world need a good dose of people who are uncompromisingly being themselves? Not hurtful, but just being themselves, being autonomous, sovereign, in alignment with divine will. That's how you shine. And that's why we really love certain and respect certain teachers and beings from the past, or currently maybe. They were an expression of that. And did it come easily? No. Does it ever come that easily? No. So what do they have that we don't have, or oneself doesn't have? Is this just allegiance, inner allegiance? And what did they get? And what can you get? Maybe already getting is, oh my gosh, When you say yes to following truth and being truth and living truth, you are that. That's what you get. You shine with, without apology. If we let people get away with stuff all the time, what are we giving them? We're not giving them love. We're giving them permission to remain unconscious. Right? We're contributing to them, to their unconsciousness. And then guess what? What is the word? Is it codependent, or we're involved with it? I know there's a word. Contributing to it. Our karma is wrapped up in that then. We're creating karma there. Because we're not living truth. We're living unconsciousness. We're out of lack of courage. Where does it come from in you if you ever do that? Where does it come from? Fear, lack of courage, a fear of being rejected. That's big, isn't it? Fear of being rejected. Not wanting to hurt. But then what are you doing? You're hurting. You're hurting yourself, and you're hurting, you turn to get away from truth. You turned away from being Saint Michael. Remember in the last session, I brought up Saint Michael with his sword of truth. Slice and dice. Manjushri in Tibetan Buddhism. Kali. Why do all these traditions have like a vigilant one? So one that's remaining vigilant. It's because we need that modeling, and we need that support. You can lean into these ones that have our backs of being vigilant. And that doesn't mean one doesn't feel like a little heartache about something, and like, this is hard to do, and I don't want to cause harm, but life would be so much better off if we could remain in allegiance to truth, both in the beautiful, soft, loving, warm ways that people don't give themselves to, and in the real clarity of like, this is not welcome here. Right? Both ways. Truth is wanting to express. The truth of our interconnection, the truth of true caring, the falling away of greed, because the more that you really care, the more that you feel connected to another, the less that you feel separate, and the more you care. And that might want to show up in a certain way, and as action. Or maybe it's just a prayer. You pass by someone you can tell is suffering, or an animal is suffering. Or you're called to stop and help. Who knows which way it's going to show? But if you are in the way, you won't know which way to move. If the personal self piece is there and says, what should I do? If I do this, maybe then I won't be able to stop, or whatever. What if help is wanted in that one moment? Here in Taos, there are a lot of dogs that get lost, and sometimes I just, my heart breaks. I see them running by the side of the road, and you can tell they're distraught and lost. There's a lot of dogs. I don't know. It's like the town of lost dogs. And sometimes I stop. Sometimes I drive by and give a prayer and feel so bad and tell myself, if I see them on the way back, I'll do it. maybe I have somewhere to go. Or Nala's in the car, my dog, and I can't pick up a stray dog because, you never know what could happen, right? But, it's like, listen. And sometimes, like, yeah, I'll just bring up some examples. There's this park that I go to in town, and there are people who bring their puppies there, and there's parvo. And do you know what parvo is? It's a disease that can kill a dog very easily. And if a dog doesn't have all of its vaccinations, it can kill them. And it does, as a lot of puppies get it here. And it's in the soil, from previous parvo dogs. And so sometimes I tell those people, I'm like, I take it upon myself, and some of them don't want to hear it. You can tell, but there's this caring and compassion that just wants to even break some of the silence of, and each will be moved person here to do what you do. You have your own things that you care about that show up. If it saves a doggy's life, that would be great. But I'm not in control ultimately. There's two things going on. I'm not in control. But truth doesn't have that agenda really, like, and now you must do it. It's more like I'm being called to say something here. They're going to do what they're going to do. Or maybe, one time long ago, I saw a mother mistreating her daughter in a like Walmart kind of place, little girl, mistreating her little girl, yelling at her, and, I didn't know if I knew something wanted to happen here. And fear can get in the way of like a natural movement, right? How to do this without creating a problem, making this woman get defensive. How to do this. And I just sent prayers out to this little girl, and she looked at me, and I said to her out loud, I said, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. And the mother heard me, and I just walked away. That's what came out of my mouth to say. Like the whole Ho'oponopono prayer coming out. But if we don't let these kind of movements take place, we're not really able to contribute to the world, this hurting world. Yeah, if we don't let our star self become manifest, and we hold back and think that we don't have power, it's not ours to do. Well, whose is it to do? Who's going to save this place? Who's going to help right the ship? It's individuals like us, right? Who are like, I'm going to pay attention to this inner guidance. And I'm going to live in that way so that it can manifest on the outside as much as possible, not be a savior or whatever, but just be a human being living their potential. It's not a savior complex. It's just a human being living your potential and following through with what's possible.